What is integration service? Why it is important? That is what we are going to discuss in this video. Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today in this video we are going to discuss about a new product of UiPath which we have not discussed in this channel, which is called UiPath Integration Services. My name is Mukeshkala. I am a 4 times UiPath most valuable professional, certified solution architect and an advanced RPA developer, and recently I have also got the LinkedIn top voice. Feel free to send me the LinkedIn connection request. I have shared my details on the page and I would be happy to be part of your network. Also, we have a separate WhatsApp community, which is a group consisting of developer, learners, some senior developers, where you can just post your queries whenever you face any difficulties. On top of that, whenever there is a new video which is getting uploaded on the channel, you get a direct notification on your mobile phone, right? So share this, so scan this QR code and get part of the WhatsApp community. If you are someone who is getting started in UiPath and you are confused that where should I get started, what should I learn, feel free to drop me an email on my email ID and I would be more than happy to guide you on your learning journey. Lastly, coming to the channel for the first time and haven't already subscribed, please consider subscribing to the channel to get the next videos in the same playlist. Having said that, let's get started. Okay, so let's talk about integration services, right? Today, whatever I am going to do, I am going to use the UiPath community license, which means that in case you guys are beginner, you also can follow along with me whatever I go, wherever I go on the screens, right? The navigation path and all of that you can actually go and see on your own cloud.uipath.com as well, which is your community edition. So you do not need any enterprise edition to try your hands on integration services. Okay, so that is the first thing you should remember. Specifically, if I talk about what exactly is a integration services, right? You might be listening this for the first time and you would have no idea, but trust me, at the end of this video, you would have the complete knowledge, right? So for example, today I ask you guys that, hey guys, you have to do a RPA automation and you have to use Excel, right? So you can say that, okay Mukesh, I'll go to my project, I'll add the Excel dependencies and I can do the Excel automation. Fair enough, right? We say that today we want to do a Word automation or PDF automation. The same thing, we go and we add the dependency, drag and drop the activities, and we are able to do that. Let's talk about databases, right? I have to do for databases SSMS SQL Server. I just go there and I just add the dependency, get the activities and do the automation. But now today I come to you and I say that, hey guys, today you have to integrate your existing solution to, let's say, Coupa, or you have to connect your existing solution to SuccessFactors. You have to connect your RPA robot to Zoom. You have to get data from OpenAI. You have to connect data to Google Sheets. You have to connect it to Microsoft, right? Now, what is the traditional way of doing this stuff? Okay, we can do it. We can always go to the respective vendors, respective provider, ask them that provide me the API keys, right? How do I make the connections, right? So what we usually used to do is we go there, we use the API, we get the API, we connect then, and then we write code. We have to do a lot of postman operations, use the get HTTP request and then get the data, format the data, and then use in the automation. Was it possible? Yes, absolutely. It was still possible with the help of APIs, but the development time and the learning curve for the developer increases, right? So now you need to have knowledge of APIs. How do you integrate? What is JSON? What is output? You need to do all of that. You would need people to create those connections and all, right? Solution was there, but it was not so developer friendly. And that is where UiPath Integration Services come in picture, right? So if I talk about the definition, right, UiPath Integration Services is component of UiPath platform designed to simplify and enhance the automation of the third-party applications which are not part of UiPath ecosystem. Okay. As the automation continues to grow, your business would always have more and more requirement that, hey, today I want to do an SAP, Salesforce, ServiceNow, right? And that time you need to have the data travel to and fro between UiPath robots and the integrations or the application, right? That's why you need the integration services. Now, the best part about integration services is that it provides a standard way. What do I mean by standard way, right? People who are coming from development background, right? Today, if you have to build any automation in RE framework, you know that yes, this is a fixed template. I need to go to init, get transaction, process, and you are able to develop any automations, right? You do not worry at all about is it insurance, banking, healthcare, what kind of automation it is, you are able to build that automation. Similarly, if today I have to connect to ServiceNow, Salesforce, OpenAI, SuccessFactors, Bamboo HR, anything, whatever you want to connect, integration services is providing you the same interface, right? Same interface, same set of control. So if you are able to connect to one of the services, get data to and fro, that means you can now build and connect to any of the services which are available out there. So that is why it is mentioned that integration services provide a standardized authorization, authentication, pre-built APIs which you do not have to build. And the best part is it has even got the triggers. What do I mean by trigger? Remember, if you are following up, in interview I ask a question that how do you monitor the email? You have to run an automation as soon as the email arrives. As soon as the record is added to the Google Sheets, you need to do something, right? So event based triggering, how does it happen? With the traditional way, the developer is restricted only to use the time trigger or the queue trigger. With integration service, you can actually make a event based trigger, which means that any event which is happening on the third party application, your robot will get trigger, right? It can be any event. It can be a message on the Teams. It can be a new row which is added to a Google Sheet. It can be a file. You just placed a file into a folder and you want to run automation. Think it like that scenario, right? HR use case, remember, which we built to generate offer letters. As soon as the HR plays the input file, the automation should automatically execute. Now, HR can place that file at 9 a.m., 10 p.m., 11 p.m., 2 a.m. in the morning. I don't worry. I just write an integration services on that folder. As soon as the file is there, trigger the process, right? No need of time trigger and queue trigger, right? So all those set of use cases where you want a event based triggering, integration services is the answer for you, right? And the last one, second last one, right? Integration service make sure that your each connector, right, which is connecting, has a security protocol. It's provide you the secure and a compliant automation environment, so you don't need to worry about the security, confidentiality. All of that is taken care by UiPath for you. And lastly, API automation, which allow developer to combine the automation and the API at the same time with regular UI automation. For example, I say that, hey guys, you have to get the data from a Google Sheet. You will say that, okay Mukesh, I'll open the Google Sheet. I will use a UI automation. I'll use the table extraction, extract the data, put it in an Excel. Works absolutely well. UI automation always has a challenge. It can break, interface changes, it get minimized, it takes a lot of time. So that's why we always prefer to have API automation, and wherever you have APIs, wherever you have integration service is the answer, right? So I hope you guys understand why integration service is important. This was a brief description for the people who are absolute beginner, right? And I hope you guys are able to follow along till this part, right? That why integration services is important, right? If that is the case, just comment down that understood integration service, or just mention understood IS, right? I'll take a pause, just comment down understood IS, and I would understand that yes, you at least know that what we are going to learn in this integration service series. Okay. Now that we have understood the background of integration services, let's try to see where do I find this integration services in my cloud account, right? So I'll go to my browser, right? And you have to log into your cloud account, which is cloud.uipath.com. This is the same account which you have been using to authenticate your studio, to open the orchestrator. Everything is available here, right? And now you can just click on this 9 dots and that should open this window, and here you would see something which is called integration services by this symbol. right? So you click on that. On the left hand side of the cloud account, you would find integration services, and that should open the integration services for you. Okay, this is how the integration service look first time when you open. Now there is something which you need to remember here, is that you see on the left hand side you have these folders, right? Now where are these folders coming from? So if I just open my orchestrator, right, these are the same folders which you would have created in your orchestrator, right? So remember, why do we create folder in our orchestrator? Because if I am a company, I do not want the different departments to mingle up, right? That's why I create separate folders, right? So for me, I have a shared folder, I have my workspace, and I have something which is called digital assistant. So whenever you create integrations between your components, right? So if I am an HR, I created an integration with Workday. The finance department do not want to know what integration I am making, right? If I am the finance, I need to make sure that I am integrating my thing with only the finance set of tools, and the HR or the insurance guy does not need to know, right? So that's why we actually create folders here. And the same folders are available for you in the integration services. And now UiPath is asking you that, Mukesh, okay, you came to this wizard, where exactly you want to create the integrations, right? You want to create it in my workspace, in this folder, or in this folder, right? So just remember, whenever you create the integration services, make sure you create it in the correct folder, otherwise you won't get it into your UiPath Studio, right? So same folder, same orchestrator you have to be get connected to make this thing, right? And yeah, this is my folders. Okay, just a quick information, guys, in case you are new to the orchestrator and you don't know how do I work with orchestrator. So I have a dedicated course which is available with Graphy. So I did a paid collaboration with Graphy last year, and I created my own course in orchestrator which is available on Graphy. It is a comprehensive course. It has a huge syllabus. You can go through the syllabus, and if you feel that it's something you are looking for, you can purchase the course, right? And I think there would be some discount which is going on. You can directly check on the website. I will post the link of the course also in the description. Okay, so that was a quick information. Coming back to the integration services, here in the integration services, these are the folders. So personally, I would like to create my thing into the my workspace, right, which is nothing but this guy, which is my workspace, right? So here I have these processes in the same, like you are free to create it on any of this thing, right? So this is my workspace where I would like to create my integration services, right? Now when you open this for the first time, you would see a couple of things. One is this my folder. You can collapse this always. There is something which is called connectors, connections, and triggers, right, which we haven't discussed as of now. So what are these connectors, what are these connections, what are these triggers? Let's try to understand them. Okay, so we launched the integration services, and now we see that there were three components at the top, and which are the three main components: connector, connections, and triggers, right? Now when I say connectors, as the name suggests, integration service comes with a large set of connectors which are pre-built for you to utilize, right? So if I have to connect to any of the services, I would just go and I will use something which is called connector. Today if I want to connect to OpenAI, so I'll go to the connector tab and I'll search in this guy for OpenAI. If I want to do it for Gmail, I will go to the connector and search for Gmail, right? So there are a lot of connectors which are available, pre-built, third party available for you in this window, which is called the connectors, right? So anything, wherever I have to get started, I'll just go to this connector tab, search it, and get the connectors, right? So now I hope you guys understand connector. Now the next window is something which is called connections. Now the good part about the integration service is that once you have created a connection to any connector, right? Let's take an example of Google Drive, right? So I went to the connector window, I created a connection with a Google Drive. Now I used it in one automation. Next time in any other automation, if I have to use Google Drive, I have a option to reuse the same connections which I have created. It's not like that for every project you would be creating a new connections every time, right? So what this connection do is, the second tab, whatever integrations you have done with UiPath and the third party, all of that would be available for you into the connections tab, and that will show you that what exactly is happening with the connection. Is it live? Is it connected? It is disconnected? All the details whatever you have would be available in the connections, right? So connectors, where you have all the catalog. Connections, whatever you have already made the connections would be available there. Now the third tab, which is the triggers, right? Triggers, as the name suggests, what trigger you have kept on the connections, like whenever there is a new row which is added to the Google Sheet, whenever there is a new file which is added to the Google Drive, whenever you delete a data from the SharePoint, whenever I get a new message in the Teams. So all of this is nothing but a trigger, right? What do you want to trigger, right? So what's the trigger? So trigger is something, an event which actually you want to have the automation, and trigger will be built on the connections and connection will be built on the connector, right? So three main components: connectors, connections, and triggers. If I go by the definition of triggers, triggers provide a mechanism for subscribing to a specific event for the third party application, giving you flexibility to start the process in the orchestrator, right? You would deploy the process, any event happening, trigger it, right? You need not to have an automation project created or published in the specific constants, right? So this simply means that in case you want to trigger an automation, you need to have the automation, right? So you say that as soon as the file is added to the Google Drive, trigger the HR automation. But usual thing is, obvious thing is, you need to have the HR automation in the orchestrator, right? Three main components: connector, connection, and triggers, right? And let's go back and see all of that in integration service, so it would make more sense. Okay, I'll minimize this, and here into the integration services, right? So here we have the connectors, we have the connections, and we have something which is called the triggers, right? So now what exactly I want to do? So if you see here, these are all the connectors which are available for you, which you can utilize in your automations, right? Let's take the example which I was talking about, right? Let's say Drive, Google Drive. I want to do something on Sheets, Google Sheets. I want to do something on Microsoft. You have all these integrations which are available, right? Just now imagine how many use cases you can create with these collaboration, right? Latest one, OpenAI. I want to do something with Azure OpenAI or Microsoft OpenAI. I have this connectors, right? I want to do something on, let's say, Salesforce. I have it here, right? All these are available for you in the Cisco, Gmail, GitHub, GetResponse, right? People who are coming from an enterprise background, you would understand that all these are the application. Jira, right? Managing the tickets. MailChimp, Office 365, right? A lot of them. And UiPath is adding all of these integration on this, right? Tango card, right? You might have heard of Tango card, which is sharing you those gift card kind of vouchers, right? Watson AI from IBM Watson, in case you want to connect it to some chatbots, right? YouTube, awesome, right? Zoom, right? So you have all these available here for you, right? Now this is the connectors. And the first option, you have an option to build your own connector as well. So let's say you are working on application, let's say XYZ application, which is not available here. You are part of the company, you have an application, and UiPath do not have the integration service. You as a developer has an option to build your own connector as well. Build your own connector. It will ask you for the API definition and everything. You just provide the details and it will build the connector for you, right? So maybe in some upcoming videos we will try to see how does this thing work, but you need to remember that you are not only restricted to use what UiPath has, you always has an option to build your own connector as well. Okay, Once you have selected any connector, whatever connections you have made, so as of now we are adding fresh, so we do not have any connections. Once we have that, all of the connections would be available here. And then you have something which is called triggers, so no connections, so no triggers, right? So connections and triggers, right? So all of this is available in the single place for you: connectors, connection and triggers, right? Just go to the integration services, have a look into it, and you would make yourself familiar with this wizard. Okay, back to my presentation. Now there is something which you should remember, is that you have also a filter option here, which you can choose to use for a specific connector. So for example, you have filter like created by UiPath or created by my organization. In case you are already in an enterprise environment, whenever your company, your organization create that integration services which is your own and not by UiPath, you can just filter out this. You can also filter the connectors by new, updated and preview, as the name suggests. But the good part is you can always check the integration services based on the categories, right? So in the connector window, you have an option to filter out all of the specific connectors, right? So you don't have to necessarily rely on this search. You can actually go by this filter options which are available, and then you can utilize it, right? Where exactly that is located, I'll just go back here into the connectors, right? You see at the here you have this guy which is the filter, as the name suggests, filter. Show the disabled connectors created by UiPath. I only want to see which is created by UiPath, which is created by organization, which is created by myself, right? Custom connector, build your own connector. Release, new, updated, general availability and preview, right? GA. And these are all the filters, and then you have this huge list of category, right? So today I am interested to work on AI, so I just go and say AI and I say apply the filters, and I should only get the one tagged to AI, right? Like OpenAI and all, right? You can clear these filters. Pretty good way of finding events which are related to yourself, right? I want to look only for ERP, so we have NetSuite and the Workday, right? You might be using Workday in your company, right? So this is how the integration service wizard look like, right? I would like to take a pause and I would like to know your thoughts, that which of these integration, right, when you actually went to the catalog of integration services, right, which one you feel is most relevant to you and your organization, right? You don't have to tell me the use case, but just I am curious to know that which integration services you think that is more relevant to you, your organization, your client, your customer, or if there is anything which is not available in this list, right, and you would like to build your own connectors, right? We can always provide feedback to UiPath, right? You can always do that by yourself by going to forum, right? But you can just tell me also that which is the connector which you feel that you would be using mostly in your client customer requirement, and what is there if there is something which is missing, right? I personally feel that there is something which is called this guy, which is Ignite, which is for data transfer between connections. So one of my client uses Ignite, so I can try this one. Okay, so back to my presentation, right? So with all of this background, now if I have to tell you what are the key features of UiPath integration services, right? Why, let's say you are not using integration services, why you should consider using integration services? The first thing is it's large and growing catalog of pre-built connectors. It's large, it's already huge. UiPath keeps on adding the stuff, and these are the pre-built connectors. The second thing is simplified integration. Developer do not have to worry about the API connection, getting the response, doing it in the Postman and all of that is simplified by just using integration services, right? API and UI automation combination, right? UI automation is awesome. I also like it, but it also comes with a drawback of changing interface, slowness. It has a huge reliability on the UI, right? So that's why we always prefer to have API based automation, and sometimes we would like to do UI automation plus API automation together, and that's where integration services is helpful. The next thing is simplified security. You do not have to worry about the security, authentication, authorization. All of that is taken care by integration services. Next one, enhanced data exchange. If I have to exchange the data between the third party, right, I can always use the integration services without worrying about much of this integration, API, and all of that we actually talked about, right? Lastly, event based trigger, very important game changer for the automation, where you want to trigger something based on some events, right? And that's where it's called the event based triggers. Wherever there is some event which is happening, you just want to trigger it, right? So these are the key features that why you should consider using integration services based on our learnings, right? Lastly, for this video today, I am going to talk about an example use case, which is again from UiPath Academy, right? So this was a use case which you guys can relate, which is for the new hire onboarding process. So there is a company which is called, let's say, XYZ company. The HR admin is trying to onboard the new candidates into their company, right? So what does their current flow look like? So they have something which is called a success factor. Then the HR admin from the success factor actually pull all the list of new employees. Then the HR admin go and put all the new employees in the OneDrive, and then from the OneDrive the support admin go to the Salesforce and onboard all of these candidates. And once these candidates are onboarded, so the candidate who are successfully onboarded in Salesforce, they get a email and they also get a Slack notification that hey, you have been onboarded and you are provided with this access. Wherever they get any exception when onboarding, it is creating a ticket in the service now, right, for the IT guys to investigate, right? This is the manual process. Now just think about if you are a developer and if you have to build this use case, how many integrations and connections you have to make, right? First you would go to success factor, connect with success factor, get the data, put it in an Excel. Then you need to write a process to put it into the OneDrive. Then from there the Salesforce integration to your Outlook, integration to Slack, integration to ServiceNow, right? All of these different components you see here, right? Salesforce, this, all of these are the integration services components which are available for you. So all the HR has to do is just start this process. And as a developer, what you have to do is create this integration. As soon as these files are created, you create an event trigger. It generates this list of employee. As soon as the HR admin upload this to the OneDrive, you create an event trigger on the OneDrive and it get the data for this Salesforce. As soon as the data is available in the Salesforce, you go here. As soon as it is created, create this integration, right? So developer wise, see how much easy these integration services had made it for you. And the benefit for the HR user is that depending on their availability, right? I am the HR admin, I upload this at 12 p.m. at the night, and I want this automation to run immediately, right? I don't have to go to the UiPath support team and ask them to run the process. All of that can happen directly straight away here only, right? So that is an example use case which was provided by UiPath, and I hope you guys were able to relate to this, right? So with this knowledge, I would keep you armed with all these new skill set, right? In the next video, we would be seeing more of the practical, where we'd be actually creating integration services, deep down into all of this and try to build up the use cases, right? But step by step, right? You guys understood the basic, you guys know where it is integration services, what is connector, connection, what are the use cases it is populating. If that is the case, let me know in the comments. And last request from you guys is, what are the use cases you think can be built with integration services, right? You just have to tell me the use case which immediately came to your mind after watching this video or while watching this video. Hey Mukesh, yes, this is the use case I would like to create with integration services, right? Just let me know in the comments and let's see what different people have different use cases, right? So yes, with this I would like to wrap this video here. Thank you for watching. I hope you got this video insightful. Any more questions, any more doubts, feel free to write me in the comments, or you can also drop me an email as well, right? So wrapping this video here. Thank you for watching. If you like this video, please do subscribe to the channel, and happy automation.